I'm Yvonne from Growing Old Disgracefully.
I'm Marie from Midlife Dramas in Pyjamas. You can find us both on Facebook.
And now we've come together to bring you inspirational stories from midlife and beyond in our podcast,
Hear Me Roar!
We've got to get this to about 2 minutes because we chat for far too long every time.
I know, but, what can we say?
I don't. Well, we find each other fascinating.
We do find each other fascinating. We find each other very funny.
Yeah,
and
I know.
very fascinating.
I know. We have a good laugh, don't we?
We do have a good laugh. Right, so you're going to have an awful lot to cut out of this.
Well, I'll just cut your bits out. It'll be so much better.
Bloody rude.
So what have you been up to this week, Marie?
Right, Yvonne. Well, I'm currently doing a limerick challenge on my Facebook page. I asked my followers if they would like a limerick for their name, and I've been swamped. So I thought I'd do one.
Go on then.
All right. This one was for Chris. There was a young lady called Chris whose menno was taking the piss. When flushers were offered and wet knickers proffered, said, "Thanks, but I'll give it a miss."
Hey, I love your limericks. I've really enjoyed. That's one of the things
thanks.
that you've done that I've really enjoyed.
As opposed to all the things I've
opposed
done
to
that you
all the-
haven't.
the shit that you come out
the
with
shit that
over
I
the
come out
years.
with.
Right, shall we move on to our guest this week?
Okay. Oh, this is a great guest this week.
Our guest this week is Michelle Ford from Two Women Chatting, which is a midlife podcast, and it's now in its 9th season. So here we come, little fledgling podcasters. I know, and she's
Podcast
been...
virgins.
I know. Been a long time since I was a virgin.
Virgin on the ridiculous.
Anyway, Michelle is a podcast host, radio presenter, and columnist. So she hosts her Two Women Chatting, which features celebrities and experts on wellness, lifestyle, and reinvention. So she loves an inspirational lady too. She's on. You can find her on Brooklands Radio as well, and she plays music, chats to guests, and she loves real life stories in her shows, including listener favourite segments as well, like Michelle's Book Club, where she interviews acclaimed authors about the stories behind their books.
She does, yes.
Yeah. And she is also just such a really, really nice lady.
She's a lovely lady.
She
She
is.
gave us a lot of advice when she knew we were starting our podcast. A lady who genuinely goes along with the women supporting women. She's been very supportive to us.
She has. She's been fantastic. So let's go and meet Michelle. And today we've got with us Michelle Ford from the midlife podcast Two Women Chatting. And you've got your own show on Brooklands Radio as well, Michelle. Hello.
I do. Hello and thank you. I'm so honoured to be on Hear Me Roar. I'm so excited for the two of you on this venture. You're so funny together. It's going to be brilliant.
I'm actually a little bit in awe of having you on our podcast because you are the queen of the podcast. You have such a successful podcast. You've interviewed some amazing women. So I might get a little bit tongue-tied.
Oh. I don't think so. I think that's an impossible thing. Now, I have been very lucky, I will admit. I've had some absolutely amazing guests. Honestly, I don't really know how it's happened most of the time. People always ask me how I get them. Like, I don't know. I just ask, really.
Well, shy Ben's getting out. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Exactly.
If I understood what you said then, Marie, I'd probably agree.
It's my Yorkshire coming out.
So you've got your 100th episode coming up, Michelle.
I do, and they said it wouldn't last, and it almost didn't.
But it has. So who have you got coming up on your episode?
So actually, my 100th episode is just coming up, and I have got an incredible guest. I'm so thrilled to get her. Double gold Olympic champion Dame Kelly Holmes is joining me for this one. And she is truly, I've already interviewed her. It's in edit stages at the moment. She was just so inspiring. And I know she was exhausted. So she had run, I think, a half marathon the day before. She'd run an event on the previous Friday that was enormous with loads of people. Talked to her for longer than 30 minutes. And there was I listening to her in awe 45 minutes later. She just has a way about her, and she's so authentic and genuinely inspiring that, I was just like, carry on, please, just talk and talk and talk, even though I know I should have cut it really. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that one. And as you'll know, having done your podcast research, very few podcasts make it through even the 5th episode. So I know you're doing brilliantly already. I think only 5% of podcasts go on to finish a whole season.
How we make it past the 5th episode in this season, because we have got 2 more seasons planned.
We just went and asked loads of people when season 3 is about to go.
Yeah, and everybody we asked said yes.
I know, that's been brilliant.
There you go, you see. You'll have your black book full as well before you know it.
Eventually, we hope.
We hope, yeah.
But it hasn't always been plain sailing. You haven't always been Michelle the podcaster. Am I right in thinking you started out when you were living over in the States?
Yeah, so back in, it's nearly 20 years ago now. It's kind of a funny story that I was playing tennis with somebody, and she happened to be a QVC host, the QVC shopping channel. And she's like, wow, Michelle, you have such a cute accent. You should totally do voiceovers. And I'm like, yeah, okay then. Where do I start? Where do I sign up for that? I'll give that a go, because my kids were really young, but they were just starting school at that stage, and I'm pretty much game for anything. And I thought, yeah, why not? So I did. I signed up in Philadelphia. I was living at the time, and I went to a casting agent and I started training, and I really loved it. And, I think it's much harder to get going as a voiceover actor here because, well, we all sound like each other, don't we? But over there, I did sound like I had a different voice, and it was quite useful for anybody who was looking for sort of that authoritative, sort of academic RP kind of tone to their voice. So I trained in New York, and I've been doing it ever since. I've done hundreds of audiobooks and commercial stuff, and I mean, even every week I get a little bit in, but I don't do as much now as I used to. But I have to say, great career when your kids are, going to school, and I was in a different country. Then I moved my booth across to Singapore, and I carried on there because I don't need much. I literally started off with a duvet over my head in my closet.
Sorry, a duvet over your head? Is that
yeah,
a
because you needed to create that sort of acoustic space, that's silence. So I had, I just went into my closet. In America you've got a little bit more room, a bit more of a walk-in closet, and I just surrounded myself with duvets and pillows until I got the right sort of ambient sound. And that's what I did. I've been known to record in hotel wardrobes when I've been away.
But mics have come on a bit, and with these days, there's a lot of digital help in getting the sound right. But it must have been hard when you started to learn all that stuff.
It was, and I tell you, the first book that I ever got, the first whole book, was quite a challenge. And gosh, I can't even remember the title at the moment. But so I do all the accents as well. And this particular book had an awful lot of accents. In fact, at one stage, there was 5 Indian men talking to one another in a room, and they all had to sound different, and they were all from different religions. So I had a Sikh, a Hindu, a Muslim, somebody from northern India, someone from southern India. Well, that was a stretch, I'm not going to lie.
Wow, yeah.
And sounding like a man is harder than you think. That was definitely one of the criticisms thrown at me when I first got going, is that my voice sounded too feminine. And I mean, if you just drop it like this, it's just not going to sound realistic, So I had to find some way of conveying that I was talking as a man, but not being a comedy man.
Yeah,
if you see what I mean.
Yeah. Sorry, my mind's just boggled now at the thought of you trying to do all these male voices.
Oh, it was crazy. I often use a clock face if I've got lots of characters, and I'll give somebody like 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in terms of sort of volume and pitch, and that's how I remember each person, is where they are on my clock face. Sounds a bit weird, I guess, but works for me anyway.
Got to find a way to make it work, I suppose.
Find your own system and go with it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because listeners, especially in audiobooks, that they'll immediately pick up any inconsistencies.
Oh, and they're not shy in coming forward with that.
It'll be all over Audible.
I will never, ever do another Scottish romance novel ever again. Give me Bridgerton any day of the week.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah, definitely.
A bit of Bridgerton.
I know. So you've done, I think you've worked in Radio 1 production?
Yeah, that was almost my first job out of school. I went to work in the production pool at Radio 1. So my first DJ I worked for was Gary Davis.
Oh, I used to
And
love
he
him
is
when I was a
as
teenager.
absolutely lovely as he seems to be. He really was an absolute charmer. Really, really nice. But I worked for all of them at different stages. Dave Lee Travis, Philip Schofield, Mike Reed, all of them. Nikki Campbell was there at the time as well. And it was, it sounds like it's really fun to go and work at Radio 1. And it was in certain ways because I had more concert tickets than I knew what to do with. But it's also kind of, pluggers who are coming in to promote a record and so on. They can be chatting to you like, oh, Michelle, how are you? It's been so nice to see you. And they'll spot somebody famous or a DJ behind you and like dropped like a stone. And the girls were like that sometimes too. I found it quite hard. I'm a bit fragile like that. I like to be liked.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes a little hard in an environment like that. I found radio drama much easier, much more lovey and just nicer to be a part of. So I didn't stay at Radio 1 for that long, but it certainly gave me, lots of career ideas. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you definitely come from a media background in your career, and you've done all sorts of things within that, lovey, darling. Yes.
Yes.
So you had your career going, and then you had children, which obviously put something of a break on that. Did you manage to keep anything going while the children were little? Keep your toes in the water, so to speak?
Well, I suppose that's when I started the voiceover, when my youngest was 4. But before that, I don't know about you, when you bring your kids up, and I actually met somebody in a gift shop who was growling about this the other day. It was a guy, and he was in there to buy the 19th birthday gift of, that season of parties. And we used to find it so stressful with 3 children, going to different parties every week and, people trying to outdo themselves with, this, that, and the other. That I thought, well, I'll set up a party business. So I did that with a friend when the kids were really little. I used to have literally 75 balloons in my Volvo as I'm trying to back out the driveway. I couldn't see a thing. I'm amazed I didn't have an accident. But so what I did was I got paid to take the stress out of parties for other people. And so I would come up with all kinds of wacky ideas. I used to sing. I used to bring fairies. I used to arrange the cake and the party bags. I wouldn't do it for myself, but if I'm paid to do it, it's a different thing altogether.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I used to do that, and I've always kept my sort of my head in the game, I suppose, by doing voiceovers, or I used to work on like commercials and things like that as in production, things, whatever came along, really. I'm not much of a sit-stiller.
And then you've come full circle now, because you're now empty nester. Are you enjoying the chance to do your own thing, or are you missing those babies and want them back home?
You know what? So my youngest graduated from school, secondary school, during COVID, and it was a tough time, really tough time. But what was also strangely lovely about lockdown, and I think a lot of us felt this, was that our kids were at home with us. And we have lovely memories of the shows that we watched, or the ping pong that you played in the back garden, or the walks that you went on. And it brought us together at a time when an 18-year-old boy would ordinarily be out partying and having a few beers. So that was just a really lovely time. So by the time I knew he was about to leave, I knew watching Strictly Come Dancing was never going to be the same again. My pal was leaving. Worse, he was leaving to go and study in Washington, D.C. So that's the trouble. When you've lived around the world, these kids become so independent and so globally minded that they think nothing of just like going off to study in the States, which is what he did. And I thought, what am I going to do? Because I've always been busy at school. I was arranging like the whole of senior year and bringing in food trucks because the parents couldn't go into the school and get involved. I was trying to come up with all these creative ideas, and it took up all my time. So I knew come the day that he graduated that I'm going to have this massive amount of emptiness, I suppose, like a real empty nest, as many of us would have at that time. And that is when I bumped into my neighbour Liz, and we got chatting. She was facing the same thing, and we thought about a sort of a business idea, a bit like you two, like, just coming together and finding a bit of a soulmate in that area of your life at that time. And we used to laugh so much about different things. And one of our kids just said, you two should do a podcast. And that's how it came about, really. So Liz had no experience of doing anything in production or behind a mic. But hats off to her. She really pushed herself to learn how to interview and how to, like you're doing, with the admin behind a podcast as well. It doesn't just show up on your podcast platform without an awful lot of work behind it. And that's what we did. So we worked on that together for a couple of years. And then last year she said, you know what? It's not really me. I'm 60 now. I want to play more golf. I want to potter in the garden. I don't really want to push myself to interview people. And she is, still living 2 doors away from me. She still helps me put my bins out if I'm away. So we get on great. And it was a really mature way of handling it, actually, that I think we're both quite proud of. We didn't push it until we couldn't stand the sight of each other. We just were really honest and said, you know what? It's not really working for me. And that was it. And actually, I'm really bad on taxes. Don't tell my husband. I'm hopeless, keeping records of finance and invoicing and all that stuff. But what I do love is chatting to people and interviewing them and talent booking and all that fun stuff and going to events. So yeah, I'm wagging my tail now. I'm having a really, really good time.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant, because it just sounds like you found yourself, you found your niche, you found something that's for you, that you're great at, and that's filled that sort of empty space now that your children no longer need you, type thing. And I must admit, I worry
of myself
about
for that. Sorry.
I was going to say, I worry about what we're going to be like when our kids leave. Not you, myself and my husband.
We haven't got kids.
Yeah, when Marie and I's kids leave. No, I worry because all of a sudden it's just 2 of you and nobody else. So, at the moment, our son still lives at home and there's always cooking to be done, something to be done. Yesterday we were all out, his girlfriend as well, and we all went out for the day. I think I'm going to really miss those things when he goes. I really am.
Well, you're not, because you've got me and we're doing this. So
Well,
we filled our empty nest before we've even gained the empty nest.
And you know what? If anybody's listening to that or listening to this episode, I'd advise them to do the same thing. I've written a lot about the empty nest and finding the positive of it and being honest about those feelings that you are really sad, but you are allowed to feel really excited as well, because all of a sudden, as you get used to not setting that extra place at the table and it's just perhaps the 2 of you or 1 of you or whatever it is, you think, I don't have to cook tonight. We can have a takeaway, or we could have a city break because I don't have to be around for football on a Saturday anymore, and I don't have to do this. And I mean, bigger kids, bigger problems, of course. When they go, there's different things that could go wrong.
Yeah.
But it's also such a great time to find your relationship again. And I really, like you're doing, by preempting the empty nest, it won't come as a drop off the cliff. It'll come as something that, okay, I'm ready for this because I am me and I'm proud of what I'm achieving. And I bet your kids are really proud of you too, Yvonne. I bet they look at you and think, yeah, my mum's a podcast host and an author. And, an influencer on Facebook. So I think it's really important to get out there and show your kids that you're not moping around at home. So that you don't have to become a podcast host. In fact, please don't, everybody, because we've already got enough midlife podcasts going on. But, go out and join a bike club or, cold water swimming, or find your tribe is what I'm trying to say. And there's, it doesn't have to be the parents that you've been standing at the school gate with. I always think that friends are there for a reason or a season. And you might, you two have come to know each other in the past, year and a half or something?
2 years, yeah.
2 years. But you'd think you'd known each other forever, right? Because you've been in your lives and you're doing so much together. But you can't foresee what you don't know. There's friends and opportunities and activities and exciting things to do that you've got no idea yet. But you have to keep the door open. So if you stay at home and binge watch TV, you're not going to find those new friends and hobbies and things that you would, talk to your kids about, instead of saying, oh, I really, really miss you. I don't go out anymore. I miss you. They don't want to hear that. They want to hear that mum is a podcaster or mum is, taking on a new hobby and doing archery or, training from couch to 5K. All of those things doesn't have to cost a lot of money either. It can just be something that maybe you've sidelined because you've put you as a priority low on the ladder for so many years. And that's a great opportunity too at this time of our lives, is that finally, things that we may have thought, oh, I'm never going to get to do that. Well, we're halfway through. We're not halfway done. I've said this before, is that, we've got lots of years and decades to live. So if you're just going to put everything down and start playing bingo, well, that's a choice.
It is.
Very wise.
A lot of women, once we sort of hit 50, do lose confidence and do start to feel very invisible. And I think you have to fight almost to go against that and to decide that, no, I'm not going to be invisible and I am going to grab opportunities. I mean, I'm always saying that on my page, grab opportunities, whatever comes your way, just go for it, say yes, don't think, oh, I'm too old now, I can't do it. So where do you think your confidence came from to launch into this reinvention?
Well, it's funny
almost?
You should say that, because I'm not always confident. In fact, I went to an event today and I have to steel myself to go to social things. I don't love walking into anything on my own. I really hate it. And, I've definitely my phone is my friend. Gosh, what a very, very interesting thing I can look at. I'm so important. I really need to look at all my messages right now. But I have pushed myself I'm kind of competitive with myself too. I'm like, all right, go in there. Say hello to 3 people. If you don't like any of those 3 people, you can go home. But you've got to go in there and say hello to 3 people and get 3 names, and then you can go. And usually when I've gone in there and I've taken a deep breath and I've looked for the open body language, I did a whole episode on how you do feel awkward walking into a room and how to make small talk and how to look for that open body language and who is going to speak to you and how to get away from the ones that are really boring. Because you need to know that too, right?
Yes.
And I just think, do that, and then you can, then you can have a slice of cake or whatever you want to do. You can go home and read a book and not socialise. And today I met 2 or 3. I met a couple of really nice people that I wasn't expecting to meet. And I think the other thing that you need to know is that most people do not want to hear about you. And once you're okay with that, ask them about them, because that's what they really want to talk about is them. And the more you talk about them, the more likely you're going to find things that you have in common with them. Like, oh, your kids are also at university at this age. Or, wow, you can, you're a tightrope walker too. That's incredible. There'll be some weird overlap that you think, oh, they're not so bad after all, Do
you find that people's attitudes to you have changed now that you're you do your podcast, you've interviewed a lot of famous people. Have other people's attitudes to you changed at all?
That's a good question, isn't it? Because women can be funny. We want to rise each other up. But actually, when we do, women think, oh, you think you're all that in a bag of chips, don't you? Yeah. We're a funny bunch. Because really, we should be leaving the ladder down and we should be saying, hey, look, I'm up here. Come with me. There's room for everybody. And one of the books that I listened to recently was The Let Them Theory. Have you heard about that one by Mel Robbins?
No.
Fabulous book. I listened to it as an audio book in the car. And it's really about you can only control yourself and you can't control others at all, whether that's your husband or your kids or your friends or your family, whatever it is. And once you come to terms with that, it's like an enormous release. And I think in some ways that it puts a smile on my face, literally just remembering some of the words that she says, because it released me. I'm always looking at myself thinking, people don't like me. I got such imposter syndrome for many years. They're going to not like me because, I've had different people on my show. I don't care anymore. I don't care. I'm really, really proud of what I've done. And the people that are proud of me, they're my friends. And they are the supporters. So if you're going to be toxic or talk behind my back, take a hike, because I only want really, and that's the other thing. In our 50s, we can make that choice. I think we're much, much better at valuing friendships that are real and less of them I don't need 50 people or even 20 people to go to dinner with. If I can go to lunch with one good friend or two good friends, that is more valuable to me than anything. And I'd rather surround myself with less people and stop trying to people please all the time and fit in with everybody's arrangements and just sit in the garden with a glass of rosé and chinwag with a real good friend. So I think that was like a remarkable release that I had earlier this year. And it's taken me ages to realize that. But I mean, to your question, do people treat me differently? No, not really. I mean, weirdly, some people say, I know you from somewhere, don't I? Like, I don't know, maybe. Maybe it's because I was on that weight loss program on the telly, but God, that's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. The before picture. Did you know I did the Jane Plan ad?
I know you're involved with Jane Plan. I didn't see you doing it. So
No.
the ad was on the telly?
Oh, for the last 3-4 months. Yeah, on like all the major networks. I never saw it once. Neither did my mother. We are both furious. But all my friends did. And they said, or worse, her friends at the residential homes did. And they were like, oh, yeah, I saw you on the telly. She's like, I haven't. I know it's on the Chaser, but I still haven't seen it. She was so mad.
Gets phone out and Googles Jane Plan advert.
Well, lots of new things that I've, like you, just thought, why not give it a go?
Yeah. One of the things I found weird when having done all the Facebook stuff and then when I became an author is when people go, yeah, I know who you are. I Googled you. And I'm like, when people Google me, I find that really, really strange.
Hey, you've made it when people are Googling you. I mean, you really have, you know.
Between the two of you, you're over 100,000 followers. You two are absolutely incredible.
We have good fun with it. We really do. And I feel really fortunate because I think that one of the things that tipped me into doing it was listening to my friends who were going, you should do it, start a Facebook blog. And I was so glad that I listened to them. And so when other opportunities have come up, and people have said, you should go and do this, I've consciously tried to listen to them.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah. And I think as well, having that kind of cheerleading squad around you really, really helps. It really gives you the confidence. So when people say, I don't feel confident enough to do something, I always say, build your cheerleading squad.
Yes.
Yeah, your support group is so important, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah. A support group of genuine people and genuine friends who really do want you to succeed and do want the best for you, because that's not always a guarantee. Not everybody in your life is going to want that. And as you say, you get to the point where you can make these choices about who you want to spend your time with. And, you know, luckily for you, I've chosen you. So we're all good there.
I feel so privileged.
Yeah, you're privileged, love.
Well, you're very lucky because, you know, I think I would never have started the podcast actually without Liz. And so I owe her big time for that because I needed a wing woman to keep me on track, because sometimes it is hard. And, you know, sometimes you do feel like, what am I doing this for? You know, I used to feel that a lot, you know, when you're building up an Instagram profile, and, you know, social media can be really quite tough sometimes. And if you've got a good friend who says, pay it no mind, don't worry about it, we'll just do us, it'll be fine, or, you know, it'll get better. And you do need somebody who's sort of in your boat with you, don't you? And I know that I'm quite a giver-upper. I've had like so many jobs over my lifetime, and I think that's partly to do with ADHD. And it's taken until my 50s to stick at something. Even my husband can't believe that I'm still doing this, and I'm now in my 9th season. But I think it's because, you know, I finally understand myself a bit more, and I know I can either be really busy and dynamic and achieve a ton in about an hour, or I can be horizontal for 4 and play Candy Crush Saga. And I have like nothing in between. I'm either full on turbocharged, everything can be achieved, or I'm as lazy as anything. It's not really lazy. It's just I divert myself. You know, things become overwhelming. I can't even like pick a sock off the ground. And my daughter says that, and I never really understood. And I thought, oh yeah, I walk past things all the time and I don't see them because they're not of interest to me. You know, it's zero interest. But if something is of interest, and I am so passionate about the podcast and the radio that I now do, that I just think, yes, I'm so into this and it's for me. I'm doing it because I love it. And no one's expecting me to pass or fail. It's all down to me as to what I do with it.
Yeah. You've got the book club as well, haven't you?
Yes.
You come across, because I've listened to your book club, and you come across as just so interested, and you've really done your research for those people. So for somebody with ADHD, you're out there, you're doing quite detailed research on your guests, and particularly around the book club stuff, because presumably you have to read all those books as well.
Can I tell you a secret? There was one interview when I hadn't read the book. Or at least I hadn't finished it. I finished it afterwards, but I'd only got the book like a day before the interview. So thank you, Chat GPT. I love you. Yeah, I can't believe how the book club has taken off, actually, because, and I'm not setting myself out there to be some kind of, I was actually sitting next to an event 2 or 3 days ago. I was sitting next to the Sunday Times book reviewer, the FT reviewer, the Telegraph, Daily Express. But I'm like, oh, these are cerebral book reviewers. They're academics. They know what they're talking about. But actually, that's not my thing. No. I'm there because I like books. I like a good book. And I'm only ever going to come and talk to an author about what lights me up, like what makes me cry at the end of a book, what makes me feel joy, or what makes me see a movie, or what makes me see a character come to life. So I'm not trying to be clever. I'm just trying to be 50-year-old me who likes a book on the beach or when I'm on a plane or something. So I hope that comes across, that's, I'm not trying to find like the underlying metaphor. I'm not trying to find, something clever about this. I'm just like, it's a really good story and I really loved it.
And that's what I think most people read, because they want to be entertained and they want some emotions to be evoked from reading. So you want to be excited, you want to be happy, you want to be sad, or all those things. Most people who are reading a book are not sitting there, as you say, looking for the underlying metaphor.
Doing a critique.
Yeah.
We're not doing an A-level on this stuff, are we?
No, exactly.
No. And most authors are not writing for those people. Some will, and they'll go on, they'll win prizes, they'll do wonderful things. But the majority of authors, they just want to write a cracking story that people will love. And they're so happy that their books are being read. And that's all they want.
And I would imagine that the people who listen to your book club just want to know, did you enjoy it? Why did you enjoy it? And think, would I enjoy it? Would you recommend it? And they don't want it critiqued and pulled apart. They just want to know, is this a good book?
Exactly.
Will I enjoy it?
No spoiler alerts. Yeah, will I enjoy it on the beach? Will I enjoy it on the train? And I probably actually wouldn't have one on there that I didn't enjoy. So it's pretty much going to be a fairly positive, uplifting conversation between me and an author where I'm like, I like what you did there. It was really, really nice characters that you built. And, what gave you the inspiration to talk about astronomy, or how did you do your research? I've got one coming on next week, actually, and I know this won't go out for a while, but the thing with authors, they are so wonderful about sharing their book because they want to get to another audience. And I had an idea for VE80 with the radio station, to celebrate with lots of listener memories and to do all sorts of war-themed content. And I thought, the Alice Network's such a good book about female spies in France. I wonder if she'd talk to me. She lives in Maryland, outside of DC. I contacted her via her publicist. I managed to track her down. That was on Thursday. By Monday, she was having an interview with me. I thought, you're an absolute star. You've given up your time to be with me for a little radio station in Surrey, but you're willing to, put yourself out there for the afternoon and have a chat with me about a book that actually didn't, it's been out for 7 or 8 years now. So she's well moved on from all of those things. And that's what I love. The authors have, without question, just been so lovely to talk to.
Well, and also you'll be giving her the chance to possibly bring her book to a new audience who might not have discovered it.
True.
So,
yeah, very
hopefully.
true.
so we just need to know, Michelle, our quirky cocktail question. If you were a cocktail, what would you be called and what would be your main ingredients and why? And let me get my pen out to write this down because at some point we are going to make this.
Oh, how fun. I've got it here.
So I hope you've not made it too powerful and toxic.
No. So, yes, I was thinking about what I wanted it to be. So I thought my cocktail would be a mic drop martini. So it would be fun and bold, glamorous because of a gorgeous martini glass, and loosens the tongue for some great chat. And I would make that with vanilla vodka because it's got less calories than loads of wine. Passion fruit puree because I've got a passion for life. A bit of lime juice because I have no filter. A little bit of simple syrup, and then I would top that with a splash of Prosecco because who doesn't like life without bubbles?
Wow, I love it.
It's like a porn star martini on steroids. That
We'll definitely be making that one.
I think I'll like that one.
Yeah, if I hadn't come today in the car, we'd have been making it now, frankly.
I know. I'm sitting here with a glass of water thinking what I really want is a mic drop martini.
Yeah.
I'll save that for
name.
another night.
Yeah, mic drop martini. Love it.
Yes, absolutely love it. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. We've learned a lot today and we've really enjoyed chatting to you because you just sit there and wise words come out.
Yeah, fascinating.
I don't know about that. That's very kind. I just don't stop. It's like verbal diarrhea, I think. I just don't stop talking.
No, not at all. Not at all. You are truly are an inspirational woman. You've reinvented yourself. You've not shrunk away. You've blossomed into this new career, and it's so inspirational, isn't it?
You know, never ever did I think I would be a podcast host or on the radio in my 50s. So
No.
I think anybody can do anything if they put their mind to it.
That's what's so inspirational. Yes. And just you think, things don't have to end at 50. Crack on, grab the opportunities. And as this episode is called, now is your time to shine. And you are definitely shining.
Definitely, yes.
Oh, I'm just a bit hot, actually.
Get your fan out, love.
All right. Well, thanks
so
very
lovely
much,
to talk to you
Michelle.
too. You're going to have such a wonderful season. And thank you for inviting me on. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat to you.
Thank you for joining us. Bye.
Thank you to our guest this week, and thanks for listening.
And we look forward to roaring with you again.